Well, hello there. Let's see. How are our audio levels? Well, hello there, Josh. It is fantastic to see you. I'm doing some new stuff. I have, technically, I probably still have COVID. Hey, Amanda. Welcome to the stream. Technically, I still have COVID, and I've been out all week, so I missed a couple streams. But I've been tinkering, and I have a new camera set up. So this right here is the old hotness. Hey, Brad. Welcome to the stream. So let's swap over to, this is the old hotness. Let's swap over to the new hotness. Whoa! Possibly 60 frames a second. I don't know. Maybe. Symptoms weren't that bad. I'm fully vaccinated, and so is the rest of my family. So we ended up... Hey, Ike! Welcome to the stream. Yeah, symptoms weren't that bad. A lot of brain fog. A lot of, exhaustion and hard to concentrate, that kind of stuff. Really nothing in the lungs, and everything's been pretty great. Yeah, so the new setup, I'm now recording from two separate iPhones. I got one over there and one right here, and they're going through USB. Before I was using NDI, and it was streaming through the network, and it was really gummy, and it would stutter and all of that. I also got a new position for my mic, which I think is going to work a little better. Yeah, way to be vaccinated for real. There have been a bunch of outbreaks in some relatively close circles, and they have not been vaccinated, and I'm hoping for the best for them, because we don't know how well that's going to go. But I wish them the best. And yeah, NDI is rad, and there's so much cool stuff you can do with it, like being able to just stream straight from an iPhone to wherever you want is fantastic. Like using it for the D&D stream was pretty great, because I just slap my phone on a tripod, bam, stick it there, and it works. But when kids are watching Netflix and there's other stuff going around, like your Wi-Fi has to be really clean for it to come through okay. So hopefully this works a little better. So let's take a look at where we're at. What do we got going on today? Well, I got bit by the painting bug. I couldn't wait till today, so yesterday I sat down with actually Brad in the chat and my daughter, and we painted some minis. And I painted this big boy right here. It's a really cool Loxodon Druid. I need to turn my little light on. There we go. This big boy. He's a biggie boy. And he's really cool. And I'm really glad at how he turned out. I feel like I went a little too much with the highlights. Kind of ate up a bit of the wash that I put on him. But he's really cool. I was kind of going for a... is he kin to Malabar? Nah, man, I wish. I love Malabar so much. No, he's actually... Well, I can't tell you where he's going to be from, because there are players in our game in the chat, and they might run into them pretty soon. So he's all done. So I got him done yesterday. This is the little turtle druid that we painted last time. I'm going to finish her up. We finished base coating her. So I'm going to put some washes on her and highlight her and detail her up a little bit. Man, that new camera setup looks really nice. Yeah, Amanda and MCC, I'm looking at you. I can't talk about cool stuff because you're here tonight. It's all your fault. This is a little dragon. It's actually like a Walmart toy that my daughter got, and she I helped her start painting it last night. We got it all, the mold lines all cleaned up and primed it and highlighted it, and it's gonna paint it a brass dragon. I also primed this guy, since we're in the spirit of Loxodons. This Loxodon monk, he's so cool. I have no need for him whatsoever. But when I was shopping around for this this STL online, I saw this one as like a related one, and I just love the action. Like, I love the way that his robe is like swaying. I love how like his one ear is like flipping back in the wind. He's super rad. Probably not gonna paint him tonight, but he's definitely on the docket because I love him so much. And then, my friends, we'll not look at this huge gray pile. Let's put that somewhere less shameful. Goodness, there's a lot in here. I didn't know what I wanted to paint last night, and I was painting out in the dining room, so I just grabbed a whole bunch and brought them with me. And it left a little bit of a mess, because if I'm honest, I'm still like getting my sleep schedule ironed out, and I was up till like 3 o'clock last night. Okay. So the big guy that we want to paint tonight. Hey, Jesus is Lord. How you doing, Dad? I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're doing better. This is the big guy tonight. This is a well, I can't. It's Amanda's fault. I can't talk about him either. But he's going to be the first mini that I've ever messed with that is magnetized. Ooh, look at that. So we've got these little hand axes I can slap on there. No, you don't have to leave. It's fine. It's fine. I'm just picking at you. But so the idea is that I want to have a story thing happen with this guy. So this guy's going to come on the table and he's going to be like, blah 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 blah, super cool important story thing. And then the guy that the story thing's going to happen with is going to be like, ooh yeah, well, what you gonna do? Because that's just the way he is. And then he's going to be like, boom, try me. And I just really want the players to like just mildly pee their pants just a little bit. Just be like, oh snap, it's not a story thing, it's a combat thing too. So and plus I've never done magnetized minis before, like on the appendages. So he's going to be our big guy tonight. So I want to finish up. Actually, I'm done with him. Put him on the shelf. I want to finish up the little lady, and then start base coating the big guy. We've also got a dinosaur because monster manual. Probably going to do that one next Thursday. Oh, and this one's actually done. I don't even need to do anything to him because I printed it in clear. This is Shurg. This is Chris's character. Now that he has changed classes from a druid to a rune knight, he can cast enlarge on himself. Well, technically you don't cast enlarge. With the rune knight, you become large, regardless of your size category. Which I thought was interesting because that means if you were to be a rune knight and you were to be a small creature, like a fae, like a fairy or a gnome, something small, then you wouldn't become medium by going up one size. You would just, bam, become a 15-foot halfling or fairy or something. You would just become large. And so this is... Actually, no, that's not done. I do need to paint this. I was thinking it was invisible, but I'm not going to make a large invisible one. I'm just going to... I have his actual other mini that he painted, and I'll be painting this one like that one. I'm gonna challenge myself to copy his paint job. All right, so let's look at little turtle lady. I didn't do her eyes. That camera is very far away. I'm going to adjust. Let's bring it on. Bring it on down. Just a little bit. So how have you guys been doing? Josh, have you been streaming still? Y'all been bebopping along? I have to admit that when now that I'm in like quarantine for COVID, I've been kind of just bored of the internet. I've been doing just about everything on the internet that you can think of, and I ended up settling into some Satisfactory and just kind of buried myself in it because it's mindless and like mentally occupying. But I hadn't really been following up on any streams. I've kind of been out of the loop as far as Twitch is concerned. Also, Ike, when you gonna start painting minis, dog? When you gonna get your craft space all set back up and your new digs? I'd love to do a collaborative stream with you sometime, and I think that'd be super rad. Went to a con. What con did you go to? I'm not familiar enough with cons to know like what season it is. Like, is it Dragon Con season? Ah, that makes sense. Matt loves Satisfactory. Oh man. I would love to like get my streaming set up over on my game rig and play some Satisfactory with Matt. That would be super rad. Otacon. The namesake of our favorite Metal Gear Solid nerd. A Ruby villain, huh? I still haven't looked into Ruby. I'm sorry. I know I've had this whole past week of being COVID junkie and still haven't looked into Ruby. Deeply offended. Well, you know what they say, being deeply offended makes the heart grow fonder. I think that's what they say. Yeah, the only trick with getting my game rig set up to stream is that it's like smack dab in the middle of my living room, and that's just not conducive to streaming at all. I'll have to check that out. Fender, get out of here. $50 HDMI cable. Sadly, I think with the amount of, like, as the crow flies, a 50-foot cable would probably work, but like snaking through all of the different walls and everything, like it would be longer than that. It'd be like going in a big fat U shape. That'd be nice. Yeah, so it'd be like here's my living room, and here's my dining room, and here's my kitchen, and here's a hallway, and here's my bedroom, and here's my bathroom, and here's my office, right there. So it'd be like there's my game rig, and it would be like this. It would be a nasty old nightmare. It'd be the worst thing ever. Oh yeah, plenum rated. Yeah, man, I live in an old house. It's not gonna happen. Like the best thing I could probably do is just kick the kids out of the house for the day, or ground them to their rooms, which isn't always fun. Sometimes it's fun, but I'm obviously being facetious. No, see, so like my walls and like we're really like beating this horse to death. Um, but my walls are like the structure is so old that like running Ethernet or whatever is doing all that cabling is just a super pain. So I'm actually running pretty much everything in my house on 5G Wi-Fi, like wireless AC, and even to the point of like I've got Google range extenders. You do not want to go into my crawl space. My crawl space is like that horror story crawl space that you told me about that you actually did brave going into, but I would never wish that on a dog. But yeah, like I use these Google Mini not Google Mini, what are they called? They're like the little hotspot ones where they bounce off of each other so you can like range extend them. And that's how I get Wi-Fi everywhere. I like have one in here, I have one in my kitchen, and one in my living room, and then one out in my wood shop. All right, let's paint her a little bit. I think the skin tone on her face got a little mottled, and I think it's just like poor coverage from this apple barrel paint, but I kind of like the texture, so I think I'm gonna keep it. So what we need to do next on her, I believe, is just going to be washing. I think she's all done. So let's get some green on her. We're gonna go Beal-10 green. But one of the nice things about doing like a stream setup on my game rig is that my existing stream setup is like just on a MacBook and an iPhone camera, so I could literally pick that up and bring it anywhere. Like I could stream this paint stuff at a park if I had a hotspot or like a decent enough internet connection. So this little lady, I got her off of some promo. It was like, I think it was somebody's YouTube channel. I think it was, who's that one 3D printing guy? The guy who does a bunch of terrain. He was doing like a showcase of this where he painted it and showed it off. And I was like, man, that's a really cool sculpt. I like how she's got like the little dragonfly. I like how she's got a little snail. She's got a lot of character in this sculpt. And so the idea is that my players, they're going to the Feywild. Should venture into the territory occupied by the minis you paint. I'm total. My brain has shifted gears and I am not following you. I feel so bad because I feel like you are really onto something, but I have no earthly idea what you're talking about. Oh, mobile streaming. I gotcha. I complete like I had Twitch chat lag, but in my brain. That was bad. I was like, what the heck are you talking about, Josh? So my players, for those of you who are not aware, let me see who's in the chat now. Come on. Goodness. Why isn't my thing updating? Okay. So Amanda, you're the only one here who is a player. My players have been rather crazy, and the good kind of crazy, not the bad kind of crazy. The kind of crazy where that makes you roll your eyes and go, "Oh, you guys," but you secretly really love it. They are in the Feywild because they can't get their act together on what they want to do. And I feel like they have been lacking a little direction in where they should go, what they're trying to accomplish. And I feel like they need an NPC, somebody to guide them, somebody to offer them wisdom. Now, that's kind of what I'm making her for, is that should the occasion arise, should they encounter her, they'll have somebody that they can kind of like seek wisdom from, and who can kind of answer some of their questions. Now, chances are I'm going to have her all set up, and then they're going to go the exact opposite direction, because that's entirely on brand for this game so far. But that's kind of the idea behind Madam Turtle Lady, is that she's going to be she's like a wise old turtle. I haven't quite figured out a voice for her. Maybe something a little wavery like this. I was thinking about voices for her the other day, and maybe I mentioned on stream, I don't remember, but I was kind of thinking, do you remember the Never-Ending Story? That's a heart-wrenching movie. But there's a point in the Never-Ending Story when he goes to the Swamp of Sadness. Atreyu's in the Swamp of Sadness, and that's the part where Artax dies, and it's just like really depressing. And he's looking for this wise person. Man, I don't even remember, a wise somebody to answer his questions and tell him about this, that, and the other. And it's this big, huge turtle. The Ancient One, Morla. Yeah, there we go. And like I couldn't thank you, because I couldn't remember her name. But that's kind of what I'm envisioning her. Not necessarily in theme, because Morla is like super, what it would be like, nihilistic or whatever. It's just like, death and despair, and everything's pointless. We don't care. And I was thinking maybe borrowing that voice for her. Welcome, little ones. What are you doing here? But not being all like, I don't care, because we have enough of that in the party already with a couple individuals. We don't need any more of that derailing the existing setup. We don't care. That we don't care. Maybe I'll make her use the royal we. That would kind of help keep my brain on brand. But yeah, I still haven't worked out like her mannerisms and things like that. But I feel like having that voice would be enough to root a good character for her. Deckard Cain, why do I know that name? Isn't Deckard Cain like the guy from oh goodness, Blade Runner? Or am I thinking Decker? Is that different? Is that Deckard? Who's that? Who's Deckard Cain? Stay a while and listen. See, I don't. Okay, so I know the reference, but I don't know that character. Who is that? Like, who's he from, or what's he from? Ah, yeah. See, I never got into the Diablo games. That was one of those ones that I missed. While that was happening on PC, I was like super into Nintendo games. Yeah, so the thing that I like about Morla's voice is like it's slow and turtly, but it's also got this melody to it where it's like na 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 da na na. You know, it's kind of wavy. We don't care whether we do care. I'll have to like rewatch that scene. Get that in my head. Let's put some Carrollsberg Crimson. Get a little bit of red on her. Man, it feels good to be streaming again. Y'all like this energy that I got right now, where it seems like I'm really peppy and stuff. I was not like this before I streamed today. Y'all really bring out the best in me. And it's nice to be back. I thought about doing like a streaming with COVID stream as kind of like an awareness thing or whatever, but then when I sat upright and I got a head rush and I was like, nope. I decided against it. So she's got a little dragonfly. Got a cute little dragonfly, and she's also got a little snail. Oops. Got a little snail right there. Cute little snail. Wish I had a monitor, like an output for OBS, like right there, so that I could keep an eye, like making sure that it's staying in focus. I feel like when I lean in and look at it, she gets out of focus. There we go. Yeah, it's working out. Now let's put a little brown. Probably do some Agrax Earthshade. And then some Seraphim Sepia. Not to be confused with Cherubim Sepia. Sepia. Sepia? Is it sepia or sepia? I always say sepia. I've been trying to work on my contrast too. I feel like I keep my colors too close in brightness to each other. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Is it sepia or sepia? You're probably right. You're probably right. So I thought I had two games running, two D&D games going, the home game and the dungeon delve. And when I got COVID, like that pretty much shut down the home game. But before I got COVID, I was kind of thinking that I was going to have to shut down the dungeon delve just because like something had to give. DMing two games is possible, but not sustainable. But then it ended up happening that I got COVID, and now it looks like the home game's going to shut down for a little bit, and I'll get to wrap up the dungeon delve. Man, the dungeon delve has been so good. I tell you what, I saw a Reddit post the other day, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, 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 yes. And it was something along the lines of most problems people have with D&D, like not like, oh, I have an issue with this system or game, but like most challenges that they run into DMing can be solved by a dungeon. Can be solved by the constraints of a dungeon, and it's astonishing how easy and effortless it has been to run the dungeon delve, and how dynamic it's been, and how fun it's been just by having it like all contained in a dungeon. Like you can still have role-playing moments, you can still have interactions with NPCs, you can even have shops and towns and stuff like that inside the dungeon, but as soon as you put walls up and limit the directions, it's almost like the difference between analog and binary. When your players are in a big overworld, and you say, okay, where do you want to go? It's like you're looking at 360 degrees around you. And they almost have option paralysis. But as soon as you get them into a dungeon and they've got like 4 doors or like 3 different ways they can go, it just lasers focuses it down, and they're good. And they just pick one and they just go, and it helps them, and it gives them, like, each room is interesting and dynamic, and it gives them like mental anchors to hang on to. They remember places, and it makes it easier on me because, you know, as long as I get the rooms figured out and everything, I'm good to go. It's crazy how useful a dungeon is in focusing an adventure. Crazy how good it is. All right. Let's do some eyeballs. Just a little black. I already got the white here. You know what? I think I want to do something silly. Not literally silly, but like, you foolish fool, John, why would you do that now? I think I want to give her blue eyes. Just like solid blue eyes. I never do irises. I always do the black, white, black eyeball technique. But I don't know. I'm feeling kind of inspired. Let's try it out. If we mess it up, we'll just paint it white anyway. I really like that. You know, I've been hearing a lot of really good things about Final Fantasy XIV. I think Joe Cat, when he stopped doing his crap guide to D&D, he started doing a crap guide to like the Final Fantasy XIV classes, and he's been streaming it a whole bunch. I really like that. I like how it's just kind of like lighter. It's not super intense. I was thinking about putting like black pupils inside the blue, but I think I like it just blue. Didn't you say that they were doing like it was free to like level 60 or to level something or other? I wonder if people are just, you know, wanting to give it a shot. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That actually probably makes a lot more sense. MMOs scare me just because whenever I... Oops. You know what? I'm going to bring this camera down a little bit more. I feel like I need to hold my arms up super duper high. The downside of this new camera app is that I'm using is that I can't just single tap to swap over to like the zoomed in camera. Yeah, MMOs scare me. Like I just know myself well enough that if I were to get into it, I would get into it really hard and probably not be able to control myself. Whenever I get into a new hobby or a new something or other, I normally deep dive into it really hard. And it's almost like a what's her name? The Oracle telling Neo, know thyself. And I'm just like, yeah, I really need to not. But it stinks because I know that I would probably really enjoy it. But alas, maybe in another life. What have you been playing a giant cat dude? That's awesome. So, man, every time a giant cat dude comes up, it makes me think of this mini that I want to... Alright, I'm gonna find it, and I'm gonna put it here in my reference image real quick so y'all can see it. Because I think he's awesome. There's an image I found a while back. Where are you at? It's a D&D character. I wanted to make a Tabaxi monk. Let's see if I can... Yeah, there he is. It's super easy to find him. Let's see, let's copy that link. And let's go... Reference, browser reference. Oh, it's not showing up. Maybe I'll try this one. Huh. That image doesn't want to load. Well, now I've hyped it up so much I have to do it. There it is. It just took him a second. I want to make a Tabaxi monk. I want to make a Tabaxi monk that looks like that. That would be my giant cat dude that I would play Ike. Yeah, and see, that's the thing, is that like it really just takes a lot of time, and I just don't have that kind of time. I know he's pretty great, right? I really want to find a mini, or like make, like, it almost makes me want to get into Blender and start sculpting so that I can make a mini of him. Alright, I think her skin's coming out okay. The last thing I want to do is put some yellow on her. Just some really runny, watery yellow. And MMO is a massive multiplayer online game. It's like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV. I'm trying to think, Amanda, if you've seen somebody play an MMO. They have a very distinct style to them. Things that are uniquely characteristic of an MMO. They normally have super long progression trees. Like you're either getting new stuff all the time, or it like takes forever to get new stuff. Because the idea is that you're continually, perpetually playing it. Like they're evergreen games that you just keep going and going and going. No, so Fortnite's like that is a lot of people playing on a single game. An MMO is more like an RPG. That's online with like hundreds of thousands of players. So it'd be more like the one that Ike was talking about is essentially Final Fantasy Online. Yeah, but probably like even a lot bigger than Breath of the Wild. Like I could imagine Breath of the Wild's map filling up very quickly with a lot of players, even with as big as it is. You're not thinking of getting into MMOs, are you, Amanda? You gonna start playing Final Fantasy with Ike? Never forget, yellow is a really good color to highlight with, especially on green. There we go. Yeah, but they have like ridiculously high level caps, and they'll even do things like, I think, Ike, weren't you talking to me about like how they'll do like a level squish? Where they'll have everybody, like the level cap will be like 100 or like 200 or something like that. And when they release a new expansion, they'll squish everybody and compress their levels down to like 20. So that the new expansion was getting back up to like level 100 again or something. Yeah, so that was a anime about what it would be like to live in an MMO. Sword Art was a really good anime until it got weird. They had to ruin it with typical Japanese pervy business. I actually really liked like the beginning parts of Sword Art Online, where it was like everybody working together trying to survive, you know, like normal people trying to live and survive in a fantasy world. And it had some really cool slice of life parts where, you know, some people couldn't cut it as an adventurer, so they'd start running item shops to support the other adventurers just so they could like try to escape the game. It was a really neat concept. It just got really weird. How are we doing on time? What's our time at? 9:51. Not too bad. We're getting close. We're getting close to done with her. I think I want to do some stuff, like some details. I kind of like these little gypsy coins hanging from her headdress. Okay, and then for her shell, I believe I used the dark green because it's kind of got it's more of a bluish green. So we'll put some highlights on her shell, maybe dry brush a little bit of brown just for some weathering. Grab a little white, grab a little of that. I think I darkened it up too much. Just trying to hit these edges here. It's too much. I don't really know exactly what I'm doing highlight wise. I kind of just base coat it and then put the wash on, and then whatever is light, I just kind of lighten that up a bit more. Seems to work okay, I guess. There we go. Let's get a little brown on there. Let's grab a dry brush. And let's do a little beastie brown. Can y'all hear the music okay? Like, is it like the ambient blue blum bleem blue bloom music that's playing? I was experimenting with some other stuff earlier. I found a thing where Twitch will actually split audio out on their VODs, and I was trying to use it to do a thing where in the stream I could listen to, like, you know, regular music, but then in my VODs and in my recordings and other stuff it would play the procedurally generated music that I use. But then it didn't work, or it didn't appear to work anyway when I was checking the stream, and I had to start, and so I couldn't mess with it too much. I'm gonna put a little bit of this creamy tan on her toenails. Little bitty toenails. You know what I had a hankering to watch the other day? The Dungeons and Dragons movie. Y'all might not realize that there was an official Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out. It came out in 2000. And I remember watching it as a teenager because one of my friends, one of the older guys in my, like older young adults in my church group, was really into D&D, and he was like, oh man, it's gonna be great, and I was just like, oh yeah, whatever, nerd stuff. And I remember it being super cheesy, and like I didn't know anything about D&D at the time, and I kind of want to watch it, and just because I've heard that it's super campy and it's super cheesy, and that just sounds like a grand old time. And I feel like I'd appreciate it more. I watched a bunch of stuff while I was getting bored of the internet during quarantine. Kind of went back and watched a bunch of old movies. I watched Adventures in Babysitting. I watched Flight of the Navigator. That was a blast from the past. Bunch of old movies. Alright, let's do a little something on her clothes. I'm going to get a drop of Flow Improver. I don't know if I should be doing this, Ike. Maybe you have an opinion. I have some Flow Improver that I use for my airbrush. And I've been kind of using it as paint thinner, because I mean, I guess it's kind of technically paint thinner. It thins your paint to help, like, improve the flow in an airbrush, so I figured I could probably use it just as regular thinning for thinning paints. Any reason that I shouldn't be using this for thinning paints that you can think of? Like, I don't even know if it's acrylic or not. It seems to work okay, though, which is nice. Not a super fan of that, but I think she looks nice. I think she looks sweet. Okay, I think I'm going to call her good. Yep. I'm gonna call her good. We did it, guys. Boo 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 boo. Hello, Joint Effort and Ftupayer. Welcome to the stream. We're painting D&D minis. Alright, let's take her and put her off to the side. Now let's paint this big boy. I'm thinking I'm just gonna paint the hands later. Like once I figure out the color that I want for him. I need a bear reference image. Let's see. I believe he's going to be a... I think he's going to be a grizzly bear. Grizzly bear standing. Okay. Ooh, I like that one. Alright, let's grab the file. The image link. Please load. Come on, Bessie. There you go. You can do it. There is our bear. Our bigly grizzly. So I think we'll go ahead and base coat him in a deep brown. And then we'll probably just dry brush multiple lighter browns to build it up. I think that's probably going to be the best thing. I'm thinking... I mean, he's already going to be a bunch of brown, so I don't want like brown leather work on here. I'm thinking red in here somewhere. I'm not sure if red for the accent, like on the markings, like something else, and then red. I don't know, what would go good with red? Let's do our burnt sienna for our base coat brown. Actually, you know what? Let's do beastie brown. It's a bit medium, but what we'll do is we'll do it, and then we'll throw an Agrax Earthshade on it. And that'll give us the really, really dark browns. Because this is like that burnt umbers. It's a really dark brown, but it's really liquidy. And I feel like it's going to kill the zenithal highlight unless I thin it. But if I thin it, it's going to get all splotchy. Like it's just not a good color at all. What's going on, Droop Dog? Or is that Drop Dog? Welcome to the stream. Alright, so we got Beastie Brown. I'm gonna use a bunch of him. Alright. And I think I'm going to grab a bigger brush too, because he's got a lot of ground to cover here. My chat is not updating. Or maybe y'all just aren't saying anything. Yeah, it's just me. I got this big brush as an attempt to buy a nice brush. It really wasn't worth the money. But I have it, so I like using it for doing lots of coverage. I should actually thin that down. Oh, no worries, no worries. OBS was just being super slow, and I didn't know if it was like like if it was just inactive or if my, you know, my client was not rendering properly. Speaking of raid, we should totally raid a channel at the end of the stream. Okay. This stuff is like one of my favorite browns. It does not look good on camera. It almost looks like baby poo. It looks like really yellow on camera. But it's a nice warm red brown. Oh man, I would love it. I would love to raid them if they're playing D&D. And I thinned that down and it's still covering up the highlight. Oh well. Can't win them all. Should have thinned it down some more. Man, y'all, laying down paint on minis, it's so therapeutic. So fun. So, one D&D game we can talk about, because we don't have players in here. Well, actually, no, we've got Brad. You're in here, aren't you? Oh, nice. Thank you. You still in here, Brad? Yeah, you are. Okay, so I can't talk about the I can't talk about the Dell game either. At least I can't talk about spoiler-wise. Man, talk about going off the rails, though. That game was supposed to be all about heading to the bottom of a dungeon, and ended up being about going a couple floors down and back up, and then down and back up, and then down and back up, and then eventually returning to the surface and hijacking a ship and leaving the island. One player D&D, huh? I've never heard of that. I've heard of one player and one DM. I was gonna say, how does that even work? That would just be like session prep with the DM. You know, one day deep learning and procedural, like AI and stuff, is going to get good enough that you're just going to have computer-driven DMs. And it's going to be really rad. Mark my words. Ah, I gotcha. That's really cool. You know, splitting the party is often frowned upon. But I personally, like, as a DM, I find that I encourage it. I really like the bouncing back and forth, because I typically run with a really big party. Like, my home game has, like, seven or eight players. And it kind of spreads the load out amongst everybody. And it's kind of nice to have, like, them split up into two groups, and these guys be doing one thing, you hit a little cliffhanger, and you say, all right, we'll resolve that in a minute, and then we shift over to the other side, and that way they get a chance to think. And then the other team gets to do their thing. And then, I don't know, like, personally, I kind of like it, and encourage it where appropriate. Really, the only danger in splitting the carp party is that it's, you know, it can be, you know, you take action economy damage, essentially. But it's like, as a DM, you should, you know, if you're kind of planning for that, you should, you know, rebalance the encounter to make up for the smaller amount of players. Like, that should be pretty easy. But the real challenge is just keeping the two scenes in your head as a DM. Like, that's really difficult. But I tend not to have too big of a problem with it, so it's pretty manageable, in my opinion. Yeah, having a couple, you know, like your healer being gone or your tank being gone or something like that. It's also, see, it also has some really cool stuff, really cool benefits, like, you know, when your party gets back together, you get to talk in character about what everybody missed, you know, and be like, hey, you know, oh man, you know, this thing went down, and you get to have, like, some player-to-player discussion. And as a DM, man, the players taking time to just talk and have conversations with each other is so fun to watch. It's like that's when I get to enjoy. You know, when the players take the reins and they start to create essentially a social encounter, that's really fun for me. Like, I really love seeing players interact with each other. I'm really glad I swapped to this brush, man. This thing would have taken forever to paint with that other one. Now this bear, at least my reference image, kind of looks like it's just a single color fur. Like, it doesn't have a lot of different colors. It gets bright up around its nose, like its snout, and on the top of its head, although that could just be sunlight. But it looks like the dark parts are just where it would be dirty. At least that's what it looks like to me. Josh, when are you going to start streaming or playing D&D again? Like, I know you did that special one-shot, and I know you guys have, like, shifted over to games and stuff. But I would love to watch you DM a campaign. Also, I never got to ask you if you went back and watched my my D&D stream that I did a while ago. I'd be curious to know your opinion. I'm always looking for feedback on how I DM and if there's anything I can improve on. Should have painted his legs before I based him. There we go. Yeah, that's fair. I didn't know there was an Avatar. Is that like Last Airbender Avatar or Blue People Avatar? I'm presuming Last Airbender Avatar. Oh, Avatar TLA, yeah. I just answered my own question. Huh, I didn't realize that there was a licensed tabletop for that coming out. Oh, no worries if you hadn't seen it. I mean, I haven't got into Ruby, so I think we're even on that. But if I watch a bit of Ruby, you better believe I'm going to hold you to it. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. I'm curious if it's like a 5e based system or if they're using like a different rule set or something. Big bear. Big brown bear. Big brown bear. Alright, let's do his clothes. And actually, before we do his clothes, let's do his fists. Nice. I really enjoy DMing, and having done the stream, like the whole point of it wasn't to, I wasn't trying to like be Critical Role or anything like that, or like to be a D&D stream. It was really just because some of our players were missing, and I wanted them to be able to watch it. Oh, nice. Apocalypse is a pretty cool system. I haven't played it, but I know how it works, and I hear good things about it. But like, streaming D&D, I thought was going to be a lot more intimidating than it actually ended up being, and it was actually quite entertaining and like an enjoyable experience. You know, if you guys do end up doing some D&D and streaming, and you need a guest character, I would be more than happy to oblige. It is on Twitch, and I've been pushing all of my Twitch VODs to my YouTube channel. I'm Washburnillo everywhere. It's pretty easy makes it easy to search online. You know what, Josh? I gotta say, man, thanks for rating my stream that one day. I think it was actually Matt that did it. I've really appreciated getting to know you guys. You guys are fantastic. Be good. Take care. This magnet is not very powerful, and this little hand is slipping all over the place. I need to keep my hand centered. This new camera app does not like to focus like the way that the other one did. The other one, the focus didn't jump down or jump around nearly as much. I'll try to be better. Maybe I can... I don't know. Ike, are you playing a support character again? Or are you branching out into something else? Are you a big Cat Healy boy? Nice. Man, now you're getting me all nostalgic for Final Fantasy. I really love the Final Fantasy jobs. Like, I just have mad nostalgia for all of that. White mages, black mages, red mages, blue mages. It's like I cut my teeth on JRPGs, like Super Nintendo JRPGs. What level are you at? At the risk of tempting myself to play. Curious if you're low level. So, like, a typical Final Fantasy RPG is like, what, 70, 80 hours to get all the way through? I gotcha, so you're up there. How many hours would it take to get through the story in Final Fantasy XIV? And how much, and like, just kind of ballpark. Like how, oh, what was I going to say? How many hours would it take to get through the story? And like how much grinding would be involved in getting through the story? I think I'm going to go red, and I think I'm going to paint gold filigree on the belt. Yeah, I know it's a tough question. But I'm just trying to get a super rough ballpark feel. Okay. Yeah, see, that's a big commit. Which, to be fair, is a part of, you know, any MMO, and it's more about making the grind enjoyable rather than, you know, reducing the amount of grind. And I get that there's like a lot of catharsis in grinding, you know, and a lot of people just like to, you know, chill back and grind loot and stuff like that. And I get that. It's just kind of like, I really liked Monster Hunter, and it, you know, Monster Hunter's not an MMO. And I'm not trying to make that as a comparison, But when I was trying to get to G rank in, what was it, Ultimate 3 or something like that, it ended up just being like rare drops to get like the good armor. And I don't know, like the repetition just really wore on me, and I just did not enjoy it. So I don't know if just doing raid after raid and grinding is something that I could actually get into. Interesting. See, no, that really... I wonder if I should just watch some Let's Plays of it or something. Because... Or like if there's like a condensed lore you should know. Because I've heard you say that before, that Final Fantasy XIV has really good storytelling. And that's just odd to me in an MMO. Like, I've never seen that. Every time you mention it, it just makes me really curious. This is my dark brick red. I think it's brick red. This is another apple barrel color. And I really like it because it dries nice and flat. And it dries kind of dull. And so it's good for like a secondary background color. A lot of the, like, I have a couple other reds. I have this one and then this one that came with the Vallejo paints. But they're way too bright and poppy. You know, they're like clown nose red almost. And that doesn't really fit too well in the fantasy setting that I like to use these for. Thanks for watching, Brad. Thanks for hanging out. So I remember you talking about it where they did a Realm Reborn and they like retooled a whole bunch of stuff. And it was like it was almost like a completely different game the way they reworked it. But I don't know a lot of the details. Oh yeah, wasn't it like... Hey, welcome back, Josh. Wasn't it like it shattered the universe or something like that? And remade it and kind of like colliding multiverses or something? Ice, my man! Holy cow, dog! It is good to see you. And I haven't seen you in a long time. Yes, it is a bear. But this isn't just any bear. Is Amanda still in here? She's not. We can talk campaign stuff now. Woo woo woo. I love her to pieces. But she's a player in my game. So I can't talk campaign stuff when she's in here. So guys, this bear, it's not just any bear. This bear is a totem. So one of my players, his name's Word, Werd. He is a half-orc barbarian. And he went path of the totem. He went totem barbarian, and he went like the path of the bear or whatever the thing is. So because obviously, if you want to do a barbarian, having like resistance on every kind of damage is pretty awesome because you're doubling your hit points. But the player, his name's Drew. And if you don't get the joke, Word is Drew backwards. He's very creative with his names. He's been having some trouble. Been some challenges, as we say in the business world. RPing and like getting into character and becoming significant to the story. And so when he said he went bear totem, I was like, oh, well, you know what? It sounds like he needs to meet his totem. So this is actually the bear totem that is like his spirit animal. And I've talked to him a little bit about this ahead of time so that, he wasn't caught completely off guard. But I like asked him some questions about his totem, and he was like, wait, I thought that was just a class thing. And I was like, oh, Drew, you silly, silly human. It's never just a class thing. Remember when your friend Jack picked Tiefling Warlock with Asmodeus as his patron, and I ended up having him talk to Asmodeus and like sign a contract with him? Why did you think you could get away with that without having to do that? So he's going to have a little interaction with his totem, and he's going to be like big old Papa Bear, and it's going to talk to him about, how he needs, that these other players, these are his cubs, and he needs to be taking care of them. A bear never abandons its cubs. It's fiercely loyal. Because Word's kind of been like he's been playing him as like the mysterious man in the corner ignores you. Aren't I so cool and epic type thing. And while that's, novel, it's not very conducive to good D&D play. But it's, and that's not a diss at him. It's just like, inexperienced D&D player. So yeah, the bear totem is going to, he's going to challenge him. He's going to be like, so Word, what have you been doing? Are you stronger today than you were yesterday? Where are your cubs? Where is your, just trying to, to get him involved in the story, get him involved with the other players, and I think it'll be really cool. I think it'll kind of blow his mind, and I'm kind of wanting to. He has a bit of a tragic backstory because they're all new players and they all have tragic backstories. But I kind of want to help. So there's a thing that I've been trying to pull off in a D&D game that I haven't yet, where somebody breaks through their potential. They have some sort of weakness, they have some sort of flaw, and they have to overcome their flaw. And so, like with the barbarian, he's with Word, he's kind of bent on revenge. He's kind of got like this vengeful thing going. He was wronged as a child, and he's out for blood, and that's what fuels his rage, and yada yada yada, and that's cool or whatever. But revenge isn't a good thing, guys. Like that's not a noble characteristic, and to succumb to rage because of revenge is like a thing that a person really shouldn't do. Like that's the path to the dark side, y'all. And so I'm gonna have him shackled. when he meets this spirit animal, this totem, he's going to be shackled in chains. And this shackle is his anger and his hate. Like his rage is fueled by revenge instead of by honor and loyalty and, protecting the ones he loves and cares about, because he doesn't really care about anyone right now. And if he can, and so his bear totem is going to teach him some lessons about strength and how, might doesn't make right, but might is for, protecting the ones that you care about. And you don't just blindly kill things. That's not, that's cowardice. That's inflicting violence because of your own insecurities and your own fears. And so he's going to, borrowing a little bit from the Adventure Zone, where Magnus Burnside had his own little encounter with a bear, where he was like, "Magnus, where is your strength?" And his strength was in his friends, and his relationship and his bonds with his friends. I'm gonna kind of borrow from that and kind of use that for a little bit of inspiration. But yeah, he's gonna fight the bear totem, learn the lesson from old Papa Bear, and if he can eventually overcome, like as a character development, he's gonna get like a pretty cool like boost, like outside of his class and character. Something akin to a magical item, for breaking his spirit chains free and channeling his rage into something good rather than hate and revenge. Because everybody loves a redemption story. Everybody loves when somebody's going through pain and suffering and they fight through it and they come out on the other end. There's a lot of catharsis in a story about like that. So that's what this bear is going to be. So yeah, he's going to show up and be like, "Word, come walk with me." And I'm going to drop this mini on the table and they're going to be like, "Whoa, that's your spirit animal?" Because I want you to know, I don't have a mini for Word yet, but he's about, he's a medium-sized creature. So where's that other one? Whatever. I'll just use this one. Like, this is his character. This will be like the size of his character next to his spirit animal. Like, there's a pretty big difference there. So he's gonna be like, "Hey, little bear, hey, cub." And then, after they have this little tender moment or whatever, he's gonna be like, "Snap on the weapons. Snap." And then he's gonna be like, "Show me what you learned, cub." Should I call him Cub or Cubby? "Show me what you learned, Cubby." I don't know. Still working on that. Might just wait till the moment. So yeah, that's gonna be Word and his spirit animal. I love doing that kind of stuff. I love doing that kind of stuff with D&D characters that break them out of just their class. You think Cub is better? I think you're right. I think Cubby is too cutesy. Cubby's cute. Oh no, we need somebody to break the tie now. I guess it kind of depends on what voice I go with. You know, if he's gonna be more of good old Papa Bear, you know, Papa Bar, then he might say, you know, Cubby, you know, it might be something like that. Sure thing there, Cubby. But if he is going to be stoic, a stoic grizzly bear, and he say, "Come here, cub." You know, like, oh, like what if I go with like Kratos' voice, and he's just like cub instead of boy. Boy, come here, cub. That could be cool. So what do you think? Southern Papa Bear with Cubby, or Kratos with Cub? That's a tough one. So when I talked to Drew about his spirit animal, I kind of prodded him as like, so, you know, what do you envision him like? And he, like, you know, is he like a big old comfy panda? And he's like, nah, he's a grizzly bear. And I was like, okay, a grizzly bear. So is he more like, you know, like a roly poly Pooh Bear kind of guy, or is he more like an alpha male? And he's like, oh, he's like a rough and tough alpha male. So I'm thinking probably less cutesy, probably more cub. I think that's probably more on brand. Hopefully this COVID stuff will not be so crazy long and we'll be able to get back to playing in person again. Numbers are starting to get bad in my area. But fortunately, I've already had it, so it's like, at least I know I'm good for 3 months and I can't really transmit it to other people. I'm not a doctor, this is not medical advice. But that is what I've read on the CDC's website. I dug around online for a bear totem mini for like way too long. I ended up actually buying this mini. This is like the first STL that I've ever paid money for that wasn't a Hero Forge mini. Which, by the way, if you're interested in like looking for minis and 3D printing minis and stuff, Hero Forge minis are great, but I would like the more that I look at them, they can get very samey very quick. And I would almost, like, anymore, I would use them as a last resort. Like, it's cool to be able to create exactly what you want, but the poses and the materials and stuff are very, very samey. Once you have like 2 or 3 of them, they kind of all start blending together. And there's really, really good sculpts out there on like My Mini Factory for cheaper than it would be to make a Hero Forge mini. Like Hero Forge minis are like what, $8? They're like $7.99, something like that. And this bear was like $3. Which, you know, of course you'd still have to 3D print it and everything like that, but you know, like if you're already in the 3D printing game, it's incredibly affordable. Oop, we only got a couple of minutes, guys. It's almost quitting time. I normally go over a little bit just because I don't like to interrupt the flow. So I think I'm going to finish base coating him. Like, I think I'm going to finish the undersides of these bracers and then call it good. Painting in yellow and red with like these flat colors almost looks like ketchup and mustard until you get to the detail stage. Just a little bit. There we go. He's all base coated. And that's it for tonight. I think he looks really cool, and I think he's going to be awesome in the game. Good night, Josh. Thanks for hanging out, man. Let me know about Satisfactory, and if you end up doing your D&D game, I'll make sure to check out Ruby too. Might even do that tonight. Probably not. It's really late. Anyway. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, for hanging out. Gonna stream next Saturday. We're probably gonna finish this guy up next Saturday since some of my games are delayed. I can actually catch up on doing those minis. But we do have a bunch of big guys on the horizon. We've still got this Remoraz that needs to be painted up. He's been intimidatingly sitting in the distance just watching me, and I keep printing new stuff instead of painting it. But thanks for watching. Y'all be good. We'll see you next time.